Good evening. Okay. I'm going to wait a little bit, just a few more moments, hoping that nothing is gonna fall off. And let's see. Hello, Mariella, we are on. How are you? Great to see you. Ciao, Mariella. Hello, welcome. Hello, everyone. Good evening to you too. It's wonderful seeing you here. Tonight, we are going to talk about destiny and free will. Hello, Nadia. Hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. And thank you, whoever is watching this later on. Hey, hello, Chris. Great seeing you here. And thank you, Bridges of Light. And thank you, Life. Now, today, we're going to inquire the £1 billion and dollar question. We're going to be talking about destiny and free will. So I'm looking forward to see what is destiny for you, what is free will. Do you think we have truly free will? And if we have it, what is free will and what is destiny? Easier said than done, I think, to define if one has got, let's say, power over the other. As always, I give you my simple opinion about it, and I look forward to read your opinions and for you to share your experience. And of course, I'd like us to consider and reflect upon few, I would say, quite important points. When I say destiny, I think of things that happened, things that we have no control over. For example, I would say it is destiny, the fact that I was born in a certain family, in a certain culture. Although some people say that we our soul, before it incarnates, it chooses all these situations. So we even choose our destiny, so to speak. I don't know. It could be true, or it could be, or it could not be true. Let's say it is true in the here and now as a person. Let's say me, Luca, and Mariella and Chris. Are you aware of the fact that you were born where you were born and that you would have gone through the challenges you are going through? Are you aware of it? I personally don't. I know now that one of the theory is that I may have chosen everything. Okay. So destiny for me, for example, in my own life would be like the death of my mom. You see, I definitely didn't intentionally will it to happen. So that it was part of destiny. For free will, I intend it to be choice, to intentionally choose how to respond to life circumstances instead of just react automatically. What do I mean by that? I mean that before the age of 32, I cannot say that I had a free will, or anyway, I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't expressing or using my free will, because until I got to 32 years old, to be 32, I was a slave of my mind negative conditioning. So I didn't have a free will. So my destiny, unless I woke up, so to speak, or asked myself, hey, what's going on here? Who am I really? My destiny until then was already predetermined by my mental conditioning. And I would like you to consider the fact that I think nowadays still most of the population on the planet, it's not really exercising what we call the power of free will, meaning it's not really choosing how to respond to life circumstances, but it's still reacting like a sleepwalkers, I would say, even like I used to do that, like a machine. You see, once upon a time, I remember if somebody had told me something that I regarded to be an attack towards me, I would have immediately judged them. I would have felt really angry and I would have attacked them. Why? Because I was a slave of my mental conditioning. I wasn't exercising free will. Nowadays, it's a completely different story. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes I'm still conditioned by my mental conditioning. But most of the time nowadays, I exercise free will, meaning maybe I can see that I'm starting to react. But then I step back and I think, wait a moment, Luca, you are not that. And then I choose. And to me, that's free will. When I can choose, you see, I don't choose my destiny as such. I'm not the one of saying, but we talk about it later, the law of attraction, you think it and it materializes like this. Oh, no, bananas to that, no. But I think regardless to what happens to us, we do have the choice to respond. And my choice nowadays is always to be able to respond in a more peaceful, let's say serene way that I used to before. But I see some comments, and I love comments because from now on it becomes alive and it's not just me talking to a screen. Mariela, thank you. You say I don't. Yes, you're not aware of the fact that you were born, incarnated where you are, and so on and so forth. Yes, I am not aware either. I wouldn't know unless I had read it in books. I've heard people talking about it, about past lives and the fact that the soul decides. But otherwise, I would have not even dreamt of it. And definitely, for example, I don't think I would intentionally choose to lose my mom at the age of 25 when she was 47, you see. Then again, I really truly believe that everything is possible. And I always say, and I say it again, it's just my opinion and it could be totally wrong. And when I say I don't believe in something, I'm not saying that something is not true. So in these scenarios, even though it's hard for me to believe that I would have chosen to lose my mom at 25 when she was 47, but maybe I did, I don't know. I'm not aware of it now, but who knows, maybe before I came down, maybe my essence, who I truly am, my spiritual entity, maybe knew all this, and maybe that was something that I chose to go through to learn something from it. That, I don't know. I truly don't know. Anyway, Mariela says free intentional choices. Yes, I think that's what I mean by free will. I think it's the power to choose. And I think we get to that point when we develop what is regarded to be an aware ego, meaning an ego that sees choices, not an ego that is like a machine that it gets fired up and triggered by anything that it doesn't like or that it likes. It's an ego that can see different choices, and it's an ego that says, okay, now I intentionally choose to express myself as being, and I am embodying, let's say, gentleness. Now I choose to express myself as being assertive, or some other time maybe I choose to be aggressive or gentle. Do I make sense? Or generous, or maybe even stingy. But it's a choice. You see, I am aware of the fact that I have different choices, and I choose that one. Chris says, ooh, thank you, astrology. Fantastic. Let me see. I'm curious now. From an astrology perspective, Luca, we choose the exact configuration of the planet or the planets in order to get certain influences in our lives. But we do not know the exact manifestation of these influences. Very fascinating. So they're just like themes that we choose to look at, but we don't actually know how they're going to manifest in our everyday lives. That's the astrological perspective on fate and free will. Oh, thank you so much. You see, I wasn't aware of it. So from the astrology perspective, we choose everything, but we don't know exactly how it's going to be manifested or influences our life. That's fascinating. I like that. Because the way I see it, it's everything is put into it's not an absolute perspective, like it's not black and white. We have a degree of choice and we express the choice, and then whatever plays out that's great. It gives you freedom to decide, but also of uncertainty, which I think it's also a great quality, great assets in life, to be able to embrace the unknown, uncertainty. Because you see, as much as our logical, rational mind would like to know things and have control and be certain on everything that happens, reality is that, hey, things happen and we haven't got no control, and most of the things we can even, I think, imagine and know why they happen and for what purpose. So to be open to the fact that anything can happen, and yes, then again, I think it's finding a way in the middle, but I'm not saying that it's appropriate to be fatalistic, but at the same time, there's things that, yes, either we accept them as they are because we cannot control them. Anyway, let me keep going. Oh, hello, Chiara. I'm glad to see you here. Mariella said, I lost my father when I was 24 years old. Of course, I wasn't able to make any preview about. Yes, you see, you didn't predict that, I guess, Mariella. I have a question for you, Mariella. Would you say that, okay, now in retrospect, so you lost, I don't know how old you are, but you were 24, so I guess it's maybe a couple of years ago it happened? I don't know, I'm kidding, but quite a while, I guess. So would you say now, looking in retrospect, would you say that you got something out of it, so to speak? In other way, your intentional choice in regard to this situation, how does it make you see what happened? How do you view it, so to speak? Like, would you say that it's something that it shouldn't have happened? Or is it something that you have accepted? Is it something that you have got something from? And I think that the ability to interpret it now is happened anyway, in a way or in another. And when you know that you could intentionally interpret it in a different way, I think that could be an expression of free will. Meaning I choose intentionally what that meant to me. I choose to interpret it how I choose to because of whatever reason. Do I make any sense? And I say that because sometimes, and again, before I was 32 years old, I would have interpreted everything automatically and most of the time in a negative way. I wasn't aware that I could look at a situation and intentionally choose to give it a particular meaning. Now I can do that. Easier said than done, yes. Easier said than done. But even when it's not easy, even when let's say anger arises or frustration arises for whatever reason, that I'm not able to watch it arise and to know that I am not that emotion, if arises and I feel the emotion, then afterwards, I now ask myself and say, okay, let me see. That anger, that negative emotion that I wish I didn't feel, what was it the product of? And I invariably notice, but only 100% of the time, that it was the product of my negative interpretation of something, my negative judgment of what happened. And then I can, once I see that, I can actually look at the situation from a different perspective. You see, I can use my mind, my ego, to look at it from a different standpoint. And then I can even maybe see what I call it the hidden gift. I maybe see the positive that I couldn't see while it was happening. This, to me, is an expression of free will. Hello, Antonella. Mariella says, I felt myself incapable to help, to do something to help him. Yeah, I can imagine. 24 is very young. I can totally understand that. It is something connected with our nature. I didn't accept it, but I understood. Beautiful. I like this. You did not accept it, but you understood it. You understood. Yes. It's a very profound statement, this one, because in fact, in life, we don't need to accept things in order to understand them. You see, and I like to stay here for a moment because, and I was somebody that I used to think that in order to accept something, I had to understand it. No. And so what happened that, and then again, you see that I wasn't really using my power of choice. I was slave of a negative conditioning because I thought, okay, if I don't understand something, I don't accept it. But the two things can coexist, meaning I can not accept something, but I understand it. I understand, for example, that something is happening or somebody is behaving in a certain way. Do I accept it? Meaning, do I agree to it? Do I think positively of it? Maybe not. But I do understand, meaning I do understand that it had a reason for happening. I do understand that somebody else is behaving in a way that I don't accept it, but I understand it. Does it make sense? Again, I think we can get to reasoning in this complex way when we develop what I regarded as being an aware ego. When we are aware of a situation having many different facets. Imagine a diamond that's got different facets. A diamond, right? It's not just one. And according to the one you're looking at, you get a different view of the same situation. And an aware ego is the one that it knows it hasn't got the full picture. So it knows that it can only have a definite perspective, because the ego knows it's something that has to choose, okay? And we'll talk about transcending choice and really accepting our destiny in a moment, but let's stay with the ego. The ego can choose to see something in a way or in another way. And when it becomes aware of this, it becomes more fluid. Mariella says, we have a mission coming in this dimension. We are born, we grow up, we go away to come back to our real life. Thank you. Yes, I totally agree with that. I believe that we were home, so to speak, wherever we come from. We incarnate here. So we come here, we do whatever we have to do, and then we go back to where we came from. We go back home. Hello, Maria. Now, talking about destiny and about having choices or maybe accepting what happens, like let's say the death of somebody we love. Talking about this, to my mind comes what is called, hello Ivana, ciao, what is called the Serenity Prayer. I don't know if you know it. The Serenity Prayer, it was written by an American theologian, hello Bernice, hello, which is called, I think, Reynold Neighbor or something similar. Anyway, and the Serenity Prayer, this is what it says, and I love it because it's a very, very practical, pragmatic prayer, straight to the point. And it says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. I love it. I absolutely love it. So God grant me serenity, courage, and wisdom. The serenity to accept what I cannot change, the courage to change what I can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. I mean, if we always, hello Maria, great seeing you here. If we always kept that in mind, I think we would have a really, really to the point formula for living in a harmonious way, but also being very effective in our life. Why? Because there's things, again, that we cannot change. So in that way, there is one thing that we can change, I would add, which is our own mental attitude towards them, okay? So instead of resisting them, instead of maybe thinking this shouldn't have happened, we just say, okay, I accept it, okay? But then we need the courage to change what we can change. And that it's important because sometimes people, and I was one of them, we can get a bit lazy and think, okay, oh, well, there's nothing I can do. No, so certain things we can do, but certain things we can do. For example, you're not happy in the job you're in, when then? Change it, do something about it. I know easier said than done sometimes, but you can, so do whatever you can. And then, of course, it's important to have the wisdom to understand what we can change and what we cannot change. Anyway, enough of the Serenity Prayer. I just wanted you to point it out. In case, if you want it, I'll write it for you in the comment. Mariela says, the course of life begins with another incarnation and so on. Yeah, I also believe we come again and again and again. I think we do. Chiara is asking, does free will depend on the mind or the soul? Wow, beautiful question. Thank you. Does free will depend on the mind or the soul? I don't know. Let me see what. Let me go in and see what Okay. Saying that I don't know, I think I'd like us to consider something. I think that free will, it is maybe in this maybe it's more depending on the mind, the ego, and I'll tell you why. Okay, this is the journey of consciousness for people, okay? Normally, there are 4 stages of consciousness. The first stage of consciousness is when the individual is almost asleep. Okay, that was me before 32 years old. In the first stage of consciousness, the individual think is a victim okay, is a victim of life circumstances, is a victim of others, and he doesn't know that he has any power of responding or creating his own emotional life, okay? And that was me. And most of the people nowadays, well, not most of the people maybe, but lots of people on the planet still think they're victims, right? You tell them, come on, move your ass. And they say, but no, I can't because this is life, I can't do this. And you see, they don't know that they can change maybe a job. They can, even the things they can change, they don't change them because they don't think they have the power. So that's the first stage of consciousness. In this stage of consciousness, I don't think any free will is exercised. And of course, there is not any spiritual awareness. No, they don't know about being soul incarnated. They literally just think they are humans. That was me. In the second stage of consciousness, the individual start to realize that he has some kind of agency, it's called, meaning some kind of a choice in his or her life, meaning he starts seeing a connection between his thoughts, his desire, his emotions, and how things happen in life and how he can react differently to life, okay? So when you start waking up, and maybe that's when people get to understand about the law of attraction, so they see that their mind is influencing something in their life, okay? And here here is when we start of exercising a little bit of free will. Then there's the third stage of consciousness, when the individual realizes that there is a higher consciousness, there is an energy, you could call it God, you can call it Allah, you can call it, Taoist would call it life itself, nature. Anyway, there is an energy that you can use, so to speak, that you can use to do what? To manifest the life you want, okay? And you start working on it. And then again, this is like using free will, okay? And then there's the fourth stage of consciousness, which we would call it like total enlightenment, self-realization. And in this fourth stage of consciousness, paradoxically, there's no choice anymore. The individual, the ego, even the aware ego disappears. Why? Because the individual in the fourth stage of consciousness, in the third, we've seen that it can feel and it knows there is an higher energy and higher power, and it uses, so to speak, it becomes a channel. I mean, it uses this power but still in an egotistic way, to manifest or create what he wants, what he desires. Maybe even for others, but he chooses from an egotistic ego standpoint. At the fourth level of consciousness is when it's total surrender. It's when the individual is literally on a mission, but it's not a mission, so to speak, that he or her created with his mind from an egoic point of view, but it says, okay, use me, I am yours. It says to the energy, the spirit, God, call it how you want, it doesn't matter how we call it. So he says, use me, I'm literally your instrument, right? And in this stage, there's no choice anymore. So this is to say, Chiara, great question you're asking. I like the way your mind works. I think free will is still more inherent to the mind, because when we exercise free will, we are still in a way preferring and judging one thing over the other, which is great. You know, it's great. It's better than to say, oh, I'm a victim and I feel like shit. Because you know, but when you choose, it's still saying, there's a better choice. There's something better than something else. There's a way that is better than the other. So there's still a comparison and maybe a judgment underneath. So when there is a comparison and a judgment, there is still a belief in duality, in meaning this and that, me and them and it. Okay? When we are in the fourth stage, so when we are literally just identifying and embodying our spiritual essence, I don't think we make any choice anymore. Does it make sense? So it's not that's not even free will anymore. That is transcending free will, because again, there's not a will. The will is something that okay, will itself, it's a force that is very yang, it's very pushing, it's very controlling, okay, directing. No, when we are the soul, the energy is when we are at the stage of embodying who we truly are, we are literally being used. So we are not even choosing anymore. I don't think we are expressing our free will. Did I make any sense? Was I clear enough? Okay, so but great question you're asking. So yes, I think so. To summarize it, synthesize it, and again, I could be totally wrong. I'll just tell you my opinion. I think that free will, it's depending more on the mind. I think where we are totally identifying and expressing who we truly are from a divine standpoint, easier said than done, of course, but possible. We are not exercising free will anymore. We are totally surrendering. But you know what's paradoxical? It's that when we don't have to make any more choice anymore, when we are in the fourth stage of consciousness, we are enlightened, we have already made at a very deep level the highest choice. Am I clear? So in a way, maybe we have already exercised the highest, it's already the highest expression maybe of free will. Sorry. You see, because when we are surrendering to life itself, when we are not judging anything, when we are simply choosing to see the perfection in everything, we are then vibrating literally at a frequency which is so high that frequency, life itself, it's already selecting everything which is perfect for us. And I truly believe that we could have not made that choice even from an aware ego standpoint, because it's a completely different level of vibration. So everything that comes, we couldn't even choose anymore, because it's just like we know that everything becomes an adventure, everything becomes wonderful. But maybe it's the same situations that we lived before, but our consciousness has changed. We see the perfection where before we used to see imperfections. And this attitude, it's so powerful that truly we know that there's nothing we have to choose. That everything has been almost chosen for us, because everything is working through us and for us and through us. It's not outside of us. Anyway, let me move on. I hope I was clear enough. Mariela said, I love serenity prayer. Yes, pray. Yeah, I love it too. I bring it to my mind very often when I'm in times of uncertainty. Maria, I hope you learn English and you can understand what we say. Hello, Valentina. Hello, Carlotta. Thank you, Maria. Mariella says, thank you for that. Yeah, Mariella says, I think both. Mariella says that I think you are talking about Chiara's question. If free will depends on the mind or the soul, and you think both. Thank you. Yes, it could well be both, absolutely. Hello, Pat, Jaco, hello, Monia. Monia, yes, I will. I'll see you in the Italian version. Mariella says, I make an example. Thank you, great. I know a man, we talk to each other. After a few meetings, coming back home, I am not positive attracted. I realized he has so much ego. Something inside, a little voice tells me, he isn't the right one for you. And going back to our talking, my mind realizes the same sensation, remembers a sort of embarrassment. Wonderful example, Mariella. Thank you so much. Thank you for shining a light on this. Thank you. Great. So to summarize what Mariella says, thank you. And that is a great example. This is like the combining action, effort of, I think it first was like the spirit, the soul, the intuitive part of us, which is totally irrational, that alerted, so to speak, didn't it? It alerted you, Mariella, your spirit, saying, hey, there's something not quite okay here. And that was the spirit. And then it's not the right one for you. But then your mind, your analytical mind, went there and replayed everything and realized and remembers everything. Thank you so much. So both of it's a combined effort. Thank you for pointing out. Yes, absolutely. I love that. Yes. Hello, Albina. Wendy. Hello, Wendy. How are you? Arrived a little late. I loved what you just said. What did I say? On the line of, it is chosen for us. Oh my God, that is heaven for me. Yeah, well, I think so, you know. But like everything, you know. I really to tell you the truth, you know, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know what and when and why and whatever. But the thing is that our mind can really truly choose to think whatever it wants, or our spirit can instruct our mind to tell us everything. So yes, you know, I used to think, for example, before 32 years of age, when I really didn't exercise my free will, when I thought I was a victim of life, I thought that everything was happening against me, right? Everything was happening to me, you see. And now I think, and you know, everybody that wants to live more harmoniously with life can choose to think, well, it's happening for us. Or some people even say it's happening for us and through us, right? That's, I think, is that, like we were talking about the different stage of consciousness. You know, Wendy, you know them very well, Wendy. The first stage is when we feel victims of life. We feel we don't have any power. Then the second stage, we start to realize that we have some kind of agency. We have some kind of power of how we react to situation of people, how we respond to them, and how we manifest and attract things. Third stage is probably when we realize that things are happening for us, when we are truly using this higher power, this energy, to manifest for us what we desire. And then we were saying before, there's the fourth stage, when it's total surrender, when we are just an instrument of whatever, the life energy, and when we are not even choosing anymore. And then it's when it's everything is chosen through us, meaning we are a vessel, we are an instrument. It's not even for us, it's through us, but for everybody. But yes, for us, but for us, not for all of us, and for life itself. Yeah, I think for and through are very similar. Anyway, yeah, it's all fascinating though, how we can consider all these dynamics in different ways. Hello, Rina. Mariana says, excuse me for my smartphone's writing. Yeah, don't worry. I can understand. It happens to me as well. Sometimes you start writing something and it comes up with something else. But I personally believe that as long as we understand the context, the content, I'm not too concerned, but definitely I'm not concerned about the wrapping, so to speak. It's the gift inside. I'm not one that is very concerned about the wrapping. Some people are though. Well, the wrapping is important, of course, but to me, it doesn't really matter. And you see me, I mean, if I was a perfectionist, like, oh gosh, I should stop doing what I do. I laugh to myself because the way I say things sometimes, or I write them, is just like, but I don't let that stop in me. Otherwise, I would lose so much time. I would lose so much time to perfection things instead of devoting myself to the things I really love. learning and doing. Anyway, Mariela said, I really appreciate you take care about my thought. No, because, you know, I did it because in your sentence, in whatever you expressed, there was a lot of deep wisdom. Because what you say, I'll say it for Wendy. You may look at the recording, but you may not be here, Wendy. But Mariela, before he wrote that, she understood, we're talking about the death of her mom. She was saying that now she doesn't accept it. She hasn't accepted it, but she understands it. And I pointed out that there's a lot of wisdom in there. Because I personally used to be somebody that used to think, oh, to accept something, you have to understand it. I used to think if I don't understand something, I don't accept it. Now, I can actually see how I can, no, I don't accept something, but I understand it. I understand it, meaning I'm not pleased, I'm not saying yes to something that is happening, I don't agree with it, but I understand. Somebody else, although I don't agree with it, might have his or her own reason to do it. Does it make sense? And I think it's important to have this kind of perspective because it doesn't shut doors in situations and people and doesn't put them in boxes which we can't do anyway, it's just an illusion, which then the energy of the situation is still working behind the scenes and it's damaging. Does it make sense? The energy in us. So to be clear that, no, I don't agree, but I understand that it's happened, it's important. Anyway, so just wanted to underline that. Hello, Eleonora. Ciao, ciao, ciao. For and through. Oh, yes. Wendy, thank you. Absolutely. Yes. For and through. Yeah. I like that. Let's use them both. It's for us and through us. And could it be any other way, really? Anyway, if we think about it, if we just reflect about it, right? How can things not happening for us and through us? In other way, let's say, and it's the paradox, for example, that I used to live for years. Something would happen that I didn't like, okay? Let's say I was feeling like shit. Something happened and say, I hate this, blah, 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 blah. But I was suffering because I was not literally acknowledging that it was happening. It was happening to me. I was living it and I was denying it. I was like, no, it can't be. No, I am not feeling bad. I'm not feeling stressed. Okay, it seems an absurdity, but I remember now I couldn't even think of thinking and saying something like this. But if I remember myself, I used to be one of those people that it could be really raging angry. And if you confronted me and say, are you crazy? You're not fit, there's something wrong with you. I would tell you, no, I'm absolutely fine. Or like, no, everything is okay. But seriously, I would say, I mean, to the other world, it was obvious that I wasn't okay. But I was deluding myself. For me, it wasn't working through me or even for me. It's almost like it was steeped in it. I was raging with it, but I was still believing in the story that it had nothing to do with me or for me. It was just madness. Does it make sense? So to me, that it was the complete annihilation, complete non-existence of free will. Because I think free will, or having what we said is an aware ego, it's realizing what is happening, which means, yeah, the shit hits the fan. I feel like shite, and I know I'm feeling like shite, and now what am I doing with this? Do I keep swimming in here, or do I keep start getting out? Does it make sense? But I have to recognize that. I have to know that it's happening for me and through me. Otherwise, nothing shifts. Thank you, Wendy. Wonderful. Chiara says, the life is for us. I love this concept. Yeah, well, the life is us. It's as if to think that life is not for us is to think, and I think that's one of the reason why we suffer. It would be like to imagine there's a goldfish in there. It would be like saying, oh, the goldfish is outside the water. But of course, it wouldn't exist. The goldfish would be dead if it wasn't in the water. But the thing is, and this was me before 32 years old, that if you ask not all the fishes that they are in the sea, they know that they are in water. Some of the fishes, they think, oh, what is the sea? They think that the sea is somewhere out there. They think that the sea is a picture. Let's say a picture of a glass with water. Oh, that's the sea. No, they are in it. But because we are in it, we don't realize it. Meaning, for example, we are life, we are in life, we are in the completeness of it all, which doesn't mean it's blissful, because sometimes it's fucking painful. But it is life. We are in life. But until we think that we are either then life, that we are detached from it, or whatever, that creates friction. Anyway, Mariela says, thank you. Patrizia, but you know what? I smile because it's you guys. You know, guys, I feel you. I'm serious. I feel you. I read you. Of course, I read you. And it's what you write and how, and your energy that I connect to, that brings me to life. So thank you. So, and here again, for example, my smile is your smile. Does it make sense? So here again, is it destiny? Is it free will? Is it my destiny? Is it your destiny? The fact that I can't see your smile. I hope you're smiling, guys, as well. But so my smile, is it my free will? Free will? Is it your free will? Is it your destiny? My destiny? Our destiny? Does it come from our mind? Does it come from our spirit? Do I truly care, to be honest with you? No. I mean, it's good to mental masturbate on all this concept, but to be honest, at the end, does it really matter? Yeah. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Hello, Patricia. Hello, Matilde. Great seeing you here. Mariela says, in fact, I have never lost my faith in God. Oh, yeah. You know what? Why losing our faith in God? You know what, guys? I'll tell you, and it seems I know, and with people that they really don't believe in anything else, I can tell them, you know what? I totally honor you and acknowledge you, and it's great. My experience was this one, literally. But you know my story, but just to synthesize. For up to the age of 32, I had a very negative mentality. 12 years of taking lots of drugs and drinking like a trooper and smoking like I don't know what. The moment somebody told me, oh, there's someone here, could be your mom. Anyway, the moment I opened myself up to a different reality from what I could see, I also opened myself up to the possibility of a God existing. And this is literally what I do. What I did, like a kid, I went up, and I still do that, although I'm 50 years old. Almost, no, next month. Anyway, I literally looked up and went, hey, okay, if there's somebody up there, come on, I want to change, help me out. Holy sugar, everything just shifted. Of course, then again, free will or destiny, I haven't got a clue, but do I really care? No. Great. And this is great where we came to. This is where destiny or free will. All I know is that my inner, maybe it's just a story in my head, but the story of saying there is someone out next to me, an energy, a power that loves me and supports me and helps me. Oh, to me, it literally changed my life. It's amazing. And up to not long ago, I remember, because I really like, I reflect on whatever we always talk about. I go over and over in my head. I just love of this stuff. But I ask myself many times, but why, how is it that I really went from having a certain lifestyle and then changed so drastically, and everything changed, but oh, watch this space. It's not that I haven't done that from then everything was easy peasy. No, from then I started to work on myself, and I will always keep working on myself, meaning my negative judgments and whatever else. Although I started a relationship with what we call God. But then, of course, I did work. I did my part, I didn't just sit back and enjoy the ride. But this is to say that up to not long ago, I used to tell myself, okay, is this because of my mind or because of spirit? In other words, I used to think, am I just making this all up? Like, is and I say our, because my mind is no different than yours. Is our mind so powerful that I just change what I believe to be true? Meaning I went from thinking I'm only a human person to thinking I'm a human being and I'm a spirit having a human experience, and everything shifted just because I choose to believe something different. Or, I used to say, or, dualistic thinking, can you see? Or, is there truly a spiritual, unseen reality that is real? Meaning, am I really a spiritual entity? And is that the reason why everything shifted? And now what I tell myself, it's both. It's both. It's both. It is my mind that has changed from being very negative to being more positive. And yes, and one doesn't exclude the other. And yes, there is a spiritual reality. So if you put the two together, bingo. So I think if we know that, if we strive, if we truly wish and do exercise our free will when we can, and we do acknowledge that there is a destiny anyway, meaning I do the best I can, but then it comes to a point where I can only put my hands up and say, hey, I've done my best and whatever. I mean, there's no more I can do. I can't change others. I can't change life events. What else? Do it make sense? You see, because I am not somebody that believes in the law of attraction to the dot. No, it makes me laugh. When people think, oh, it's enough for you to think, I have £1,000 in my bank. Oh, sorry, £1,000, a million pound in my bank account, and you have £1 million. No, it doesn't work that way. Seriously, I don't think it does. What I know it works, what it works? Negative thinking, that always works. Negative thinking, it really is the law of attraction. Meaning, and I used to think like that, if you think I'm a stupid git, my life is shit, yes, you will feel like a git, and yes, your life will be shit. But it doesn't really work mathematically when we are positive. Although it doesn't mean let's not think positively. Of course, let's do whatever we can. But what I'm saying here is that wait a moment, that's when also there's a bigger design in life, that it's not so black and white, you want it, you get it. No, it doesn't work like that. Let's be realistic. Does it make sense, what I say? So you see what I mean? I think this is so complex that to really make it like you want it, you get it like this, not so much. Anyway, sorry, I'm talking too much now. When they say the witness of the aware ego, yeah, I think that's what I was talking about exactly, to witness the aware ego. Mariella says, I feel myself in a beautiful, bright connection with God, and I keep receiving. Wonderful. Yes. You see, I simply think that, yeah, Mariella, that you are playing an active part, expressing as much as you can your free will, you're choosing what to do, and you open up and you receive and you allow destiny to play a part in your life. So you're using both. Thank you. When they say, Luca, did you believe in God before you woke up? Very good question. Yes and no, Wendy, yes and no. That's a good question. I think in a way I did, because I tell you why. I never actually asked myself. If somebody asked me, I don't know if I would have answered, but thank you for asking. Because I was raised Christian Catholic, and I remember we were reciting prayer before going to bed, and it's a habit I always had, actually, to recite prayers. but I was still feeling a victim in life. I wasn't really, let's say, using this power like I am now. But I think I might have believed that something existed. And you know why? Because I remember very well. And I still even feel that moment. It was at my mom's funeral. And we were in church. And I can't remember the words, but it doesn't matter. But I remember the priest said something that supposedly God would have said, which I hated it. I don't remember, but I remember feeling rage, pure rage, and I banged my fist against the bench, really, boom, really strongly, and then I left. And then I literally left. I remember everybody stopped and looked at me like thinking he's mad, but I was stronger than me. So yes, I think I did. I wasn't thinking nothing exists, but I was furious. I was furious with it because because my biggest wish was to see my mom being well again, and my dream was to have her I almost convinced her to come and live in London with me. So that, yes, so I was angry. I was angry with a higher power. So good question. I wasn't aware of it, but yes, I was in a way. And that's why 6 years later, when somebody told me that somebody here is your mom, maybe that's why I was so happy and relieved. And almost I fell in love with God, because it's almost as if I know it sounds mad, but I almost forgive him because I condemned it. For 6 years, I was full of rage. I was thinking, if there is somebody, it's a fucking piece of shite. So for me to see a stranger that was telling me something deep, something that I haven't even considered, you see, that my mom was there and all that, it's almost as if, oh my gosh. Anyway, thanks for asking the question. Okay. What did I say? Chiara says, Luca, if you hadn't met that medium, do you think you would have become aware as you are now? Fuck, that's $1 million question. Guys, today you're drilling me. We should stay here for another 2 hours. Chiara, I don't know. I have no idea. That's a very good question. I don't know, but I know that was, boom. That was the cherry on the cake, so to speak. That was literally that encounter. I remember like it was yesterday. I walked from that place home crying and crying for happiness. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. Mariela says, you walked along a stairway to heaven. I don't know. Yeah, thank you. Hello, Clemente. Ciao, Clemente. When you say, I have to be honest, often I feel shit low, self-esteem, etc. Yes, I can attract more of that, but I also attract miracles. How would you explain that one? Wonderful, Wendy. You know how I explain that one, Wendy. I think you are just a very, very alive soul that is not judging either the highs or the lows. So you are just, when you are high, you are high. And when you are low, you are low. Amen. Does it make sense? Because I truly think we can then work on ourselves and we can really just try and be always happy and have good thoughts on whatever. But that's discipline and that's lots of effort and it's whatever. But if we don't want or don't have time, or just for whatever reason we don't want to always direct our thoughts and emotions or whatever, I think we just go with the flow of life. Does it make sense? And life sometimes is shit. We go up and we go down. Does it make sense? You see, life is not always easy. Life is not always a bed of roses. Fuck it. Life is very hard sometimes. And that's life. So yes, I think, of course, it's normal. I think it's just very, very organically natural and normal, I think. Anyway, that's my opinion. Guys, I want to read everything. Sorry. Mariela, I think your mom was a central founder. Yes, she was. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, guys, you all managed to get me quite a little bit emotional today. Anyway, thank you so much. Ciao. Thank you, Chiara. Thank you, everybody. I love you all. Oh, ciao. We're going to see each other next week, same time, but also Saturday evening. I'm going to interview Christine King, the founder of the Metaphysical Society for the Expansion of Consciousness. Saturday evening from 7:30 till 8:30. Don't miss it. Ciao.